Hey there, in today's video we have a couple of new products to go over. These were sent to me by a friend of mine. This is his business that he recently started, and before we get into it, I'd like to throw out a disclaimer on this and say that these items were provided to me for the purpose of this video, and I don't have any financial ties to his business. So what we're looking at here is the HRF Concepts RCM, or Rifle Combat Magwell. That's what's in this box right here. Got it in flat dark earth. And then here we have the HRF Concepts RAMP, which stands for Remote Angled Mod Button Platform, also in flat dark earth. And so far all of his products are polymer based. They're typically enhancements to existing products or enhancements to existing weapon systems. So we've got the enhanced Magwell and the ramp for the mod button light. So you do need a mod button light in order to use the ramp. That's what it's designed for. So first let's get into the Magwell. Here's the box. Go and open it up for you. And this is kind of a neat thing that he does. He provides a QR code. So you scan that with your phone and it takes you to installation instructions for the items. So in this little paper packing we have the Magwell. You also get a little sticker showcasing the intended design or function of the Magwell. Another sticker, if I can get it out for you. See if you can see that, but it's HRF Concepts, kind of like a white decal looking sticker. And then you get an Allen key. Alright, so let's move into installing the Magwell, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts and criticisms on it. If you guys are following me on Instagram, you've probably seen some previous versions of this. I did do some testing and feedback for him on some of the previous revisions of this Magwell. But this is a production model in flat dark earth. All of my previous ones came in black. So there's that. And let's see. Going to back these screws out with the included Allen key. And then kind of show you one of the tricks that I currently use of installing and uninstalling this Magwell, as I've been testing several versions of it. So I've installed a handful of them so far. Alright, so once the screws are backed out, you're left with this kind of like two-piece design. So you just kind of separate them, and you have these pins that kind of slide into the other side, and then you have the metal threaded inserts there. So with this split design, pretty easy to install. Take your lower. This is a Aero precision lower. I think this is one of the earlier gens, and I'll get into kind of some criticisms with this Magwell, in particular with, or specifically with, my lower. But to install it, you just slide the front piece on, and then you can kind of drop in the rear piece and just make sure it slides on to the rails, and then meet the pins up, kind of push it together. And then we can install the screws, which I won't be using the Allen key. I'll show you why, because it takes a little bit longer to install with the Allen key, because the kind of L shape of the Allen key will hit your grip as you go to install it. So what I do is I take a T10 Torx head, and I start the screws and kind of screw them most of the way in, and then I tighten them. I finish up tightening them with the Allen key. So this is kind of a trick I learned. Really helps with installation because of the pistol grip. Which, if you have like an Allen key that doesn't have that curve at the end, you could use that as well. But this is just what I have on hand, and it fits well enough to screw in most of the way. And then to not mess with like the Allen heads, I don't tighten it too much. And then I'll come in and finish off with the Allen key. Which can sometimes be a little difficult finding that correct pitch for it. See if I can get this end to go in. There we go. Alright, tightened well enough. And here you have it installed on the lower. And kind of gives you a pretty large flare for that Magwell. And this is where my criticism comes in for this Magwell. I think he did spec it off of a BCM lower, and it fit well on some of the newer gen Aero precision lowers. But you can kind of see the shelf of the Magwell of the actual receiver. There's kind of like a shelf there. So it's not as smooth as it could be for directing those magazines into the Magwell. But you do have that raised edge all the way around. So as long as you can hit the side of that Magwell flare, or the Rifle Combat Magwell, and you kind of direct that magazine into the Magwell. So good. Show you how much it flares out around the magazine there. Alright, next I'd like to go over the color matching for the Flat Dark Earth models of the HRF Concepts RCM. So already on my lower I have a few different shades of various companies' Flat Dark Earth. We have BCM's, I think they call it tan. And then the trigger guard is a Magpul MOE trigger guard in Flat Dark Earth. So we can kind of see a direct comparison between the two since they're so close together there. And HRF Concepts, they did intend to color match with Magpul Flat Dark Earth, and from what I can see, it's very, very close. I think the HRF Concepts FDE is just a tad lighter. And then this will be another comparison we can do. This is a Magpul MOE PMAG, or M2 PMAG in Flat Dark Earth. See the color there? And then here we have Magpul's Medium Coyote Tan. Kind of see the color difference there. So I believe he did intend to match the color to Magpul's Flat Dark Earth, and I would say pretty good job. Alright, so that is the HRF Concepts RCM, or Rifle Combat Magwell. Next we're going to go over the HRF Concepts Ramp, or Remote Angled Mod Button Platform. Alright, so here we have the HRF Concepts Ramp. Here's the packaging for it. This is in Flat Dark Earth. Comes in this plastic bag with that tear off section. So go ahead and tear that off. And inside You have the two pieces of the ramp itself and a couple of stickers. And it looks like the rear nuts for the screws of the mod button. You do need to have the original screws that come with the mod button light, as well as the actual mod button light. So there's that. Let's take a look at the stickers. Really cool design there. Set that off with the others, and then you also get another, or you get an HRF Concepts kind of white decal looking sticker. Alright, so here we have the two pieces. And straight off, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it looks like a little bit of a color difference between the two halves. This side seems a little bit more saturated than this one, but maybe I'm just seeing things. Alright, so several markings there to kind of give you an idea of how it is mounted or installed. Kind of a texture at the front. Set these pieces off to the side, because first I need to remove my mod button light that I have mounted here. So I use a T10 Torx head. Back the screws out, and the rear piece of the actual mod button light should retain the rear nuts there, but I always keep a finger behind just in case it falls out, because you don't want to lose those. And I will say good on HRF Concepts for including those rear nuts, or because I've had to search around for these as they've fallen out. So take off the mod button from the rail, and then you kind of separate the two pieces. Like so, and then I just leave that hanging for now because we're just going to replace the two halves. But this is what you're left with from the mod button light. And the HRF Concepts ramp replaces these two pieces. So take that, and then I always start with this side because you have to push that cable through. Hopefully I can get it through. The kind of prototype I used was not this difficult to slide on through the cable of the mod button, but this one is proving to be a little bit more difficult to do. So I think I'm going to take a quick break and kind of Dremel that down a tad so I can get it around the cable, because I feel like I'm flexing the cable a little bit too much and I don't want to damage the mod button. So one moment. Alright, so I had the hardest time getting the hardware installed on the ramp in order to actually get it mounted to the mod button light. I pretty much had to file every area, and one of the hardest parts was to file around where those nuts actually fit into the piece, because they would not fit. And the screws weren't long enough to where I could, squeeze them into the channel, so I had to file that hex shape down to get those to fit in there. But they are in there now. And another part I had to file, I had to take this round file, and I actually had to kind of free up some space in the actual holes that the screws go through, because I couldn't get the screws to actually pass through both sides of these, so I had to do that to both sides. And then here you can see I had to file out where the head of the screw kind of sits in flush, because that was really tight. You can kind of see before it was sticking out, this far, and then after I filed it, I can actually get it to sit in to that recess like it's supposed to. So that is an issue which I think is probably unique to the colored models of the ramp, because I did not have this issue on my black pre-production model that I have. I didn't have any issues putting the existing hardware from the mod button into the two pieces of the ramp. So I think he's going to have to work something out with the colors. I'm not sure what to do about that, but it did take a little bit of work to get everything up and running here. So let's get back into it. Fit the cable through. Set it on the rail, and then I usually take the other half and match it up with the other side here. There we go. Then I can tighten everything down. Try to get those screws to catch first. Alright, and there it is mounted. You can see that increased angle that you have for the mod button. And before I actually tried the ramp, I was pretty happy with the mod button itself, but this enhances the feel of the mod button much more. I really like the angle of it. And another thing that this allows is that you can run your light on the angle, and then you can mount another mod button, and it'll sit like right flush with this one. So you'll have one normal, and then you'll have that angled one as well, so you can switch them out with your laser or whatever. But this product I'm really happy with. I loved using the prototype that he sent me. It is unfortunate that I ran into so many issues installing the flat dark earth one, and you can kind of already tell the color difference. It seems like it didn't really pass the color marks as compared to the Magwell. See how different those colors are. The ramp that I have is more of a match to, I would say, this medium coyote tan versus Magpul's flat dark earth. But not a huge deal. I appreciate all shades of FDE, and I think it looks great, and I really like the ergonomics of the HRF Concepts ramp. So there you have it. Thanks for watching.